watching TVP World's special coverage from the 61st Munich Security Conference, and joining me now is Foreign Minister of the Czech Republic, Jan Lipavský. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
You've just emerged from a special Foreign Ministers meeting. What was the takeaway from that meeting? What was the tenor of those conversations?
So this meeting was very interesting. It was informal meeting. It was a meeting of ministers who could gather today in Munich. Mostly mid-sized and smaller European states, so we should be precise in defining the results of such meeting. So I think the information given by Kaja Kallas that she is working on a European plan was very well received. And also there was some kind of roundtable discussion on what steps to make further in the current situation, how to make more united European response to the current events, being it what we hear about contacts between USA and Russians, and how to approach that. So I think it was an important meeting in a sense that we could discuss our ideas and to hear what Kaja Kallas has in mind and what she's working on.
And it is a difficult situation. An emergency summit is also shaping up in Paris with European leaders. Is Europe in crisis mode over what the US plans for Ukraine?
Definitely things are happening. And there's quite a lot of ideas what we need to do. We need to act in a unified manner. We have to be ready for all scenarios, including those worst-case scenarios. And we should not let ourselves in a position where we are where we are object of negotiation, but we need to keep to be a subject of negotiation. In the media, this boiled down to the question if the EU or Europe is sitting behind the table. I think that's a good way how to approach it. But the best way how to be sitting behind the table is to do relevant thing. And we know that we have to stop Russia aggression, not only in Ukraine, but against the whole Europe through different kind of sabotages. And I think it's obvious the discussion on ramping up defense spending, it's quite omnipresent everywhere. And also we need to keep our sovereignty to make decisions. So I'm looking forward to emergency summit. Czechia is doing so many things for European security, especially for Ukraine in terms of arm deliveries, let's say Czech ammunition initiative, but also we have tabled these proposals on security in Europe, in the EU. This is the limit of the Russian diplomatic stuff in the Schengen area and many other things.
You mentioned the importance of Europe being at the table. Ukrainian envoy Keith Kellogg has indicated he doesn't want Europe at the table. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also noted in his speech, "We will never accept deals reached behind our backs." Is there reason for concern, not just for Ukraine, but for Europe, that Russia and the US will meet in a country like Saudi Arabia and drive those negotiations?
There is quite a lot of confusion, and we don't have a clear stream of information from the USA. That's something which I can say quite publicly. So it's our task to engage the USA, to be in touch with them, with the presidential administration, and to understand what will happen. But the European solution is that we will be able to come up with our own proposals and back those proposals and be relevant in those proposals. And when I speak about European solution, I also speak about inclusive solution for UK, but also for Ukraine. And then definitely Europe won't be left out if we are able to come up with a strong European proposals.
Do you expect that under Trump's administration there will ever be a solid stream of information where it's not confusing?
We have to accept the world in which we are living as a reality and act accordingly. So Europe has a strength but maybe lack a political will to act accordingly. So I understand the current days are about looking for this political will.
Was Mr. Trump picking the phone up to Vladimir Putin, opening that line of communication, was it a good idea, or, as Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has pointed out, a mistake?
I don't know much details, but we used to have a common approach how to diplomatically isolate Russia, and that was a strong signal that there is a resolute stand on our side. So now this agreement was broken. That's true. We don't know what the consequences will be or might be, and therefore we need this strong European proposals and to build this European unity on that.
And build a European army, as Mr. Zelensky has suggested?
I have commented European army in a recent interview. We need a strong European armies. We need a strong European military industry, which will be able to provide Ukraine with weapons. And weapons for Ukraine are the best security guarantee which Ukraine can get. If Ukraine is well armed, Russia will not be able to attack it. Russia will not be, in the future, will not be able to attack it again if we reach to some kind of peace deal. But this is obvious. So let's be looking for ways how to achieve that.
So in your mind, it's all about continuing military aid and support for Ukraine, not about Europe collaborating on troops, forces, and then, I guess, bringing those into Ukraine either during the war or after a ceasefire?
There's so many ways and scenarios, so I don't want to speculate and get into much details. This should be part of the proposals, but Ukraine army is able for 3 years to defend itself from Russia. So let's give them what they need for this defense.
Is the Czech Republic open to sending troops or forces into Ukraine after a ceasefire has been struck to keep the peace?
I don't want to speculate on any possible future commitment of the Czech Republic, and this also goes into parliamentary debate. So I think, again, the best security guarantee for Ukraine is to send them more weapons, including long-range capabilities, which still are not provided by full scope, as well as we have this $300 billion US frozen Russian assets, which might be used exactly for this. So we need this political will to act.
Should the Baltics, or indeed Poland, be worried that Vladimir Putin is preparing some sort of invasion into NATO countries? There's been some speculation around that. Volodymyr Zelensky has indicated that he has intelligence around that. What do you make of those claims?
I would not say this is a speculation. This is something which can be understood from all the military planning which Russia is doing. This is something which can be understood from the way how the Russian propaganda is speaking. NATO
it's
planning,
a realistic possibility.
NATO planning is being adjusted accordingly to that, and also our defense spending should be changed accordingly to such a threat, and we have to be ready for that, and therefore, being ready for that, we will prevent that. That's the important part of that this doesn't have to happen if we show to Russia that they would ultimately fail.
So in that case, you really see it as a very serious threat of what Mr. Putin is potentially trying to achieve in the region.
And that's the reason why I speak that we should not accept a bad peace, because the bad peace would be just an enabler to rearmament the Russian army and allow them to do such a possible action.
US Vice President J.D. Vance came here and gave a speech without really mentioning Ukraine, without really mentioning the US, but he noted that he's not as worried about Russia and China as he is about Europe losing its democratic values. What did you make of that?
This was a very political speech, so I was waiting for more information on security. I had the opportunity to meet with General Kellogg twice. We are seeking other ways how to engage the new U.S. administration. We can hear what the Trump is saying. So this is important for me on the security. In that speech, there was not much to listen.
What J.D. Vance said in public, are those similar messages that you're hearing from someone like Keith Kellogg in private? Or is the focus there really on Ukraine peace talks negotiations?
Mr. Kellogg is focused on designing a plan of possible actions. That's his role as far as I understand it from those two meetings.
And from those meetings, do you get a sense that the US has Ukraine in its best interests?
I think every politician in U.S. administration now says one thing, that the U.S. interests comes first.
Czech Republic Foreign Minister Jan Lipavský, thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much.
And that's all for this exclusive interview here on TVP World. I'm Aaron Darman. Goodbye for now.